How you doing, buddy?
Great, thanks, dude. Not bad at all. Yeah, how about you?
I'm doing good. It's
Excited?
exciting. Another live one.
Another live one, and it's been a good week as well because we've had loads of stuff. We had our episode last week with the guilty pleasures, which done nicely. We've added some more reading orders, some left field reading orders over the last week as well. So I mean, a couple of random DC ones, Hex Angels and Y2K, and what was it? Oh, Aliens versus Predator versus Omniverse picked up really well. So it's all those crossovers between the Aliens and Predators from the Dark Horse years against Judge Dredd, Batman, all that kind of stuff. Just
what do you think it is about that Alien Predators reading list that piqued people's interest? Is it because maybe no one's ever done it?
Maybe.
Only place to find it.
I was talking to someone recently who's like a fan of this stuff, and they didn't know those comics even were comics because they started out as individual series with Dark Horse, after the films, obviously. Then when they did an Aliens versus Predator miniseries, and then they went, hang on, that did really well. Why don't we have them just fight everybody? So they just picked Batman next, and then that just went nuts. And they stopped doing those around about 2019. I think Vampirella Archie. It was Predator versus Archie 2 was the last one, I think, which is very random. But yeah, so that's ended up doing really well. And the interview with Lou Collar of Sick of It All is available on YouTube. We weren't able to do it live, but it's on YouTube if you want to watch it.
That's so cool. Congratulations on your first interview being a pretty landmark one, because it's a legitimate frontman of a band who came on to talk about comics. So I think the niche-ness of that, like if I could see, maybe one of my favorite rappers talk about just comics, I would love it.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
It would be the combination, like getting to know them, right? Sorry. So that was very cool. So every month we're going to be doing like an incoming comics for the month of March, month of April. As we go through the year, we're going to go every month. We will have an episode to for people who are collecting along with us, letting them know some of the collected editions that are coming out, omnibus, absolutes, things where you can get a nice chunk of reading. And I mean, occasionally I like to cheat on how we select things in our top 10 lists. So we might throw a single issue in here or there, or a small little trade graphic novel. Dave hates that term, but yeah, this is our one time a month to kind of go over a catalog or give you a little bit of a catalog of things that are going to be coming your way. Stay on the lookout for. So, Dave, the last month we did our top 10 guilty pleasure reads, and you let me go first. So it's your turn.
Oh, the pressure.
To start the list for today. What can we look forward to in March?
I'm going to upset you by taking a really obvious one. I'm not saying you would just go for obvious ones, but I just mean I reckon this is on your list. But I am really looking forward to this book. And it's rare for me to say that these days sometimes about Marvel stuff. But it's the Spider-Man versus Venom omnibus, which is a re-release.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought about that, but I said no, that's just too who. But please tell me.
It's too obvious.
It to me. No, it's not too obvious at all, because it's, sorry to cut you off again, but it's one of those things where those things are collected in a number of places. So when you see an omnibus like that and you're an avid Spider-Man fan, you might have those issues in Epics or in the Todd McFarlane, Eric Larson stuff. Like, depending on how you've collected, this might mean nothing to you. But why would you think it's a good option for people to get this as maybe a starter?
Well, possibly. I mean, I think there are times when people have those collections and then they replace them with something like this.
Yeah.
And I think that this is probably one of those ones that people didn't necessarily think was going to come back. I mean, it seems obvious that it would in a way, but then they've also reprinted it in other ways. But basically, it's the first appearances of Venom from the major full first appearance in Amazing Spider-Man 300, plus all the little bits that he appeared in before then, like the couple of issues before. They normally include like the last pages of those of 298, 299, and the bits where you just see his arm pushing Spider-Man, into trying to push him into the path of a train. in random issues. But yeah, and then it kind of goes through a lot of those earlier appearances, like a lot of the Todd McFarlane stuff, like 315, 316, 317. 316 was my first Amazing Spider-Man issue, and was the issue that got me buying American comics. And it's him leaning over, it's Venom leaning over Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Not in a suggestive way. But then,
no.
No. And then you get the Bagley and Eric Larson issues. Then you get the Web of Spider-Man. Not all of it's gold. You get the Web of Spider-Man stuff that's in there with the Spirits of Vengeance crossover, which is not good. There's not really much debate to be had there. It's not great. But you get appearances in Darkhawk. You get the Spider-Man Trial of Venom one shot. You get you get Maximum Carnage. So sorry about that, but there is still a lot of good stuff in there. I'm not a fan of Maximum Carnage. It was like a 14-part Venom Spider-Man Carnage based crossover event with a few guest appearance characters, and it was like it was trying to be a big blockbuster, but it was like a blockbuster that went on for 4 weeks. I'm like, dude, sorry, just stop. Just make it stop.
Yeah, I mean, at that point in time, I was the right age as a kid to be excited about all of those marketing strategies they had, because Maximum Carnage seemed like the biggest deal in the world, because now looking back, they probably wrote that story for a video game adaptation.
They essentially didn't they?
Yeah, it was a huge video game, and it had like a really big marketing campaign. Like, you could see that it was all being done at the same time on purpose.
Did you play it?
It felt like it. I did. Whenever a friend had it, I loved playing like a superhero game, and it was pretty, what's the word? Like, for the time, like, it was the most fun you could have being Spider-Man in a video game, right? So as a kid, it was a lot of just wish fulfillment.
Uh-huh.
And you would think that if you had that story collected, that Maximum Carnage meant something, right? Kind of like the death of Superman and all of those things. But man, the proliferation at that time, it was rough.
It was. Some of it wasn't great.
That's a guilty pleasure, though.
For some,
Maximum Carnage.
not for me. I've read it like 3 times to do. So I read it originally when it came out. I read it again when it came out as a trade years later, thinking because I wanted to get all the Marvel crossovers in collected editions. And then I read it again to do it for the Marvel Comics Guide back in the day. Just going, I can't read it again. I just can't. And then sold it.
Yeah, I haven't read it in a long time.
It's not great. But some people really love it. Some people genuinely really love it. And part of it's nostalgia. Part of it is that, to each their own. Like,
yeah. It's totally a nostalgic thing of when you would have started reading comics. Like, for me, I was 9 years old, 9 years old.
It's perfect.
That was, it's just right.
Because it's Carnage without the carnage, isn't it? It's basically that Carnage goes on a killing spree with his murderous friends. How many people die? None. It's kind of vaguely implied that it might have happened in a nightclub scene or something like. I don't think anyone actually gets good, but it's Spider-Man in the 90s, Comics Code approved stamp on the cover. It's not going to be a corpse fest, really, is it?
Right. Yeah.
So it was a safe book, but I mean, it's fun to throw away. But I mean, if it wasn't in there, it would be weird that it wasn't in there, because they are those Spider-Man Venom crossover, the stories with that were predominantly Spider-Man titles with Venom in. Whereas I think like the next book after this is meant to be the Venomnibus Volume 1,
where he becomes more of a solo character and has his own. Yeah. Got you. No, it's a very concise, like, you're gonna get it all in this volume. If you want Spider-Man Venom stories, everything will be here for you to get the full, from the very beginning to just before he went in his own direction as almost an anti-hero.
Yeah, whatever. What is an anti-hero, really?
I guess it's someone who you never know what side they might be on, depending on. Yeah, like I think of.
Well, they're sort of doing good, but they do bad to do good.
Yeah, Punisher, Deadpool. Some people maybe say Wolverine. But I think they're willing to go to that limit of, like, if we gotta kill, we gotta kill.
Right. Okay, fair enough.
People, right? I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. I think that sounds right.
Deadpool, Harley Quinn.
Dirty Harry.
You kind of root for. Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't Dirty Harry like the first major? That's where the term came from.
I think so. Yeah. He was a bad guy you rooted for.
Yeah.
because he was taking out a worse bad guy. Like, he justified it. It was, yeah, that's the anti-hero, right? They're willing to chop heads.
Yeah. They do what no one else is willing to do.
We should do a top 10 anti-hero.
Ooh, okay.
See if we can define that.
All right.
Look how excited you got. You're like, oh, we got a list.
Write it down.
All right. Okay. Yeah, you know what? It is a good, worthwhile title, I think, for people who are. You got to cater to every type of collector.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
it's 1,160 pages. It's a beefy book.
Yeah, you get a lot.
You get a lot. It's chewing gum for the eyes. I mean, you got Todd McFarlane art in there, and
that's true. That's true.
You get Bagley, you get Larson, you get these artists that were big in the early 90s, and some obviously still are. It's a bit of fun, and like, it's pure nostalgia. For me, it's pure nostalgia as well. Even if it hits the bits that I wasn't a big fan of, there are some bits in there I'm a massive fan of. Just the pure pleasure of going back to that time. I was 12 when 316 came out. Like, it was, and that was the thing that I walked into a shop, saw that cover, and literally like sucked all the oxygen out of the room. I'm like, I have to have it. I don't know what it is. I don't know who that guy is, but I'm having that thing. And then I just bought 20 comics and walked out happy. And that was the moment my life changed.
Brought you here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I like it. Obvious pick that I probably would have picked, and you,
stole it.
I like it. Stole it. This one is my first pick. Is an obvious one for me. I own them in trades. I'm apologizing to my wife on camera, live, saying I'm rebuying this because I just adore it. And it's Silver Surfer by Dan Slott Omnibus. I did not get it the first time it came out because I wasn't really a omnibus reader. Mm-hmm. I had read them in trade, and I'm like, that's cool that it's in an omnibus. I'm happy that it got that treatment. But I love this book. I love this series. It was one of those hidden gems for me where people who liked it spoke very highly about it, but it wasn't a book I would have gravitated towards because I wasn't like a Dan Slott fanboy. I appreciated his Spider-Man stuff, but it's like, okay, he's doing Silver Surfer. Don't really know Silver Surfer. Mike Allred. Not sure if that was my style, but I gave it a chance, and I stuck with it. And the quirkiness, it's basically if Silver Surfer played Doctor Who. It's Doctor Who.
Because what's the
that's how Dan Slott intended it to be.
Oh, was that? Oh, really? Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. Well, how would you sum up the whole? Because it's kind of a one giant storyline, essentially, isn't it? For all intents and purposes. Yeah, and
so why I highly recommend it is, one, it's very standalone. It is a full scope Silver Surfer story.
Yeah.
It retells his history. You'll know who the Silver Surfer is by the end of this. But if you never read Silver Surfer again, it's okay. And if you want to, this will also work. Because it exists in its own sort of magical world of Marvel that is in complete continuity with what's happening with all the other books that were being published at the same time. But the way the story is told and finished, it's very much like cover-to-cover perfection for me.
Yeah.
And it's a love story.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for that. Like, I say to my wife oftentimes, I'm like, I see me and you like Silver Surfer and Don Greenwood. Like, just travel the cosmos forever. Like, that's... those images speak to me, right? So, and then the way the story, like, wraps up, it's very... It's cheesy, but it's lovely. It's really good.
John, give it its due. I wasn't a big fan of that run. I think because I was just in a mood about the way Marvel were going at the time. But that last volume, so in terms of the trade paperback collection, I think the last book made me go, oh damn it, that was good. I don't care if the end's a bit cheesy. The ending is fantastic, and I loved it. I wasn't big on the other stuff, but I don't know. I don't really 100% know why. Actually, like Allred, I know Allred can be Mike Allred can be a bit of an acquired taste. If you haven't read iZombie, because I know that there's that TV series it's on Netflix over here. I don't know where it is everywhere else, but it's based on a comic from Vertigo, and there is an omnibus out there. I don't know how much it's going for right now, but that was the series that made me realize how good Mike Allred is. So yeah, he is a great storyteller. It's a really unusual art style, very kind of retro. Well, it's kind of accused of being retro, but I don't know if it is 100% retro, because it's still got a very modern vibe to it. But it's like it's a tribute to Ditko.
It's this interesting tribute to Ditko and Kirby.
Yeah.
Depending on who was inking Kirby, because it's got those big ideas.
Yeah.
Very cosmic, sort of like... It's very zany, his art, but it also has that pop culture aesthetic of like a Andy Warhol sort of era. It takes you back to the 60s a little bit. I don't know if I'm getting that right, but it's just the way it feels. So I wasn't always sure how I would enjoy a story drawn that way.
Right.
But after this, it made me say, like, I'll pretty much give anything Mike Allred does a chance, because it's more about casting, like who's writing, what is it that they're drawing, like what's the texture of the story.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's like I wouldn't want story completely.
Yeah.
With Silver Surfer, yeah.
Yeah, it really worked. It was well done, and I wanna own it on my. It's one of those books where I would maybe get rid of something to make space for that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I really love that series.
Nice.
So I wanted to give that a big shout out to anybody who wants to, pick up a first omnibus and you wanted something self-contained but also referential to the Marvel Universe. It's a fun ride.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's a really nice upbeat tale, overall, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It works. It really works.
Cool. Good shout, my dude. Okay. So for my number 2, I'm going to go with Adam Strange Between Two Worlds Deluxe Edition.
Oh, that was on my list.
No, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, the guilt.
No, you don't got. No, it's good you brought it up. I'm happy you did.
Oh, cool.
Do you know anything about this?
I've only read half of it, so I think like the first half of it is the Roy Thomas. Oh, who did the art? Was it Andy Kubert?
I think so.
I think it's Roy Thomas and Andy Kubert. I do actually did have it open. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't say on here, but it was there's Adam Strange Between Two Worlds 3-issue miniseries from 1990, and I think it's I'm gonna open it here because it's bugging me now. Andy Kubert, yeah. It's his artwork and Roy Thomas writing. I'm not as interested in that because I'm not a big Roy Thomas fan, but at the same time, even though I'm not much of a 60s DC guy, like really none of it really appeals. The Gardener Fox. They did a Gardener Fox, I think it was, Adam Strange Silver Age omnibus, and I was that close because like I love the whole aesthetic of the character. It's so incredibly retro. It's so incredibly of its time. It's got this kind of 50s looking sci-fi thing where he's got the silver hat with a fin and a jetpack and a laser gun, laser pistol, and he comes from Earth because somehow a whole planet of people are incapable of defending themselves. But this guy from Earth with a savior complex is going to come in and he's going to save everybody, a whole planet of people, and they're going to think he's great, and then he gets beamed back down home for however many hours afterwards, and like the princess falls in love with it. It's like it's the most cliche thing, and I love it. I love the whole idea of it. It's just, I don't know what it is. It just gets some bit of me that just pulls me in. I didn't get that Silver Age book, but I think the Silver Age stuff ends, and I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is where it then picks up, which is with DC's mid-80s kind of new continuity when they started over after Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I'm pretty sure this was the first story in the first half of the book. So it's a 3-issue Roy Thomas, Andy Kubert series, but then the other half of the book is the 7-issue Andy Diggle, Pascal Ferry miniseries, 7 or 8 issues. I can't remember now off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I bought that, so that leads directly into Infinite Crisis, that like the Countdown to Infinite Crisis series ran Thanagar War. So if you've got your Infinite Crisis omnibus on the shelf, You want this little companion volume. Basically,
I have the Infinite Crisis on the shelf. I'm actually looking at it right now, and it's one of those books that I want to get to reading this year. It'll be a hefty read, but there's a lot in there, and like you said, the Rann-Thanagar War. So that's why I read this description of the book, and I was like, there's a lot in there. It's not a modern collection of something. This was an actual series that leads into, like, this is the era of when it belongs. So this would be an interesting thing on its own. It seems self-contained.
It seems to be. Those. Yeah, I mean, they've got that JLA two-parter as well by Grant Morrison from the relaunch series. When would that have been? Like 1999, I think those issues came out. 98.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting collection of stuff, but
yeah,
they don't. I think they modernized him quite a bit in the Andy Diggle series because his look was quite different, but the vibe was still there. I think that was the first Adam Strange story I read ever. But I mean, so like I was fine with what they did with him because I don't think I knew any better. But yeah, it's cool. It just looks beautiful. The Pascal Ferry's art is just it's just so smooth and sleek and clear, and it's kind of got this, for want of a better way of phrasing it, some kind of European vibe. It just feels, which makes sense. I think is he Spanish? I'm not sure.
It could be Spanish or French. I don't know. It could go.
Sure. Oh, maybe.
Yeah, it's hard to. It's hard to say.
I can't remember. I should check these things, but I didn't. Sorry. But yeah, I'm not an encyclopedia. I'll look it up. But yeah, it's. I don't know what it is about Adam Strange. I love the look. I love the aesthetic. I love the whole thing about him. And when they announced this, I was so excited because I want more Adam Strange stuff. And even though I didn't necessarily get on with the Tom King thing because of what they did with it, which felt way too much like Mr. Miracle to me in many ways, this is like these feel like good, strong Adam Strange stories.
Do you feel, had Tom King not already done the Mr. Miracle, that the Adam Strange would have felt fresh and you would have appreciated it more?
Possibly. Yeah.
So it was like, I've seen this trick already.
It feels like a retread, but also I think because I wanted to get into something with Adam Strange, like in my mind, if it did really, really well, then people might clamour for more Adam Strange, and I just want more Adam Strange, especially modern stuff. And you don't see it. You just don't see it. It's just guest appearances here and there. Or people,
you got a soft spot for him.
Yeah, but I don't even know why. Like I think it is just that real old school sci-fi pulp comic vibe.
Little Flash Gordon, little Rocketeer.
Yeah,
kind of.
Exactly.
It got that mix.
Something about it. And his name.
Yeah.
You know? It's just true. The whole thing works. But then, where are the good stories? So, I mean, these are good stories. But yeah, with that one, I kind of felt like the Tom King series kind of cut it off. That's like, well, can't really get any more Adam Strange stories now because we've kind of done this with him. And that upset me.
Yeah.
That's how I don't know if I could read it again and go, oh, maybe it's not that bad. But that's how it felt at the time, and that annoyed me. Whereas this, you won't get that vibe with this. It opens it up and actually does directly lead into a bigger story.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm sold. I don't seem like I'm sold when I'm like, okay, but I am. I was on my list of something to check out and keep an eye out for because I like those. It's a hardcover as well, right? So it's a nice...
it's oversized, I think.
Yeah, in a strange way, when something gets printed like that, you feel like this is on purpose. Like this is meant to be. It's collected this way because it's almost like it's worth reading this and owning this. That's why we made it a hardcover.
DC seem quite selective about what they make a deluxe edition, same as they do for Absolutes.
Yeah.
So there's affection for this character there. There's affection for some of this content, if not all of it. I can't speak for the Roy Thomas stuff, not having read it, but this is something that people feel clearly want or should want. So yeah.
I'm interested in it. Good pick. Still one of mine. It's a good thing I got backups.
Phew.
All right. I don't know. I think there's a couple on here that we'll both have, so I'm going to steal one of them from you.
Do it.
And it's going to be Daniel Warren Johnson do a power bomb.
I had a feeling you would.
Yeah, I love Daniel Warren Johnson. Almost all of everything I've read, I've enjoyed it. And this one's about wrestling. I don't know anything about the series because I said as soon as it's collected, even the Jurassic League, whenever that's collected, I'm going to read it because he just takes these really weird concepts and finds a way to make them work and have heart.
Yeah.
Love to talk to him again. He was on earlier days of the Cave of Solitude. I have an episode with him there, and I think he was just releasing the first episode of
was that Extremity?
No, the Murder Falcon.
Oh, right.
It was right when Murder Falcon was first coming out.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to be able to chat with him again. He's just really interesting creator. Just he's got a unique style. You recognize the work when it's his stuff, and it's his Wonder Woman Dead Earth really surprised me.
Such a good book.
So good, so good. Murder Falcon, love Murder Falcon.
Yeah, that's
highly recommend that book. Yeah,
he seems to pick topics that he has affection for, and then that affection comes out in the story. It's not like he's going because he doesn't.
Yeah,
he doesn't kind of stick around either. He's like, I've got a story to tell. This is the kind of stuff I want to do a story about.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hit and run basically. Here you go. Here's the thing I wanted to do. Hope you like it. Bye. And then more often than not, it's good. That's good. It's good. How are you doing this?
Yeah. A little dip your toe in. Even his Beta Ray Bill story. They all have that.
I haven't read that.
Yeah, they all have this sort of like, if you like that feel of a Godzilla fight, King Kong fight, there's going to be that kaiju feel to it.
Yeah.
Big and monstrous, and you're going to see something really like, whoa. You know, Murder Falcon, him shredding on the guitar is where he gets his superpower from. Like, you feel the metal. Mm-hmm. So for this one, I can't wait because I love wrestling. And so I'm going to read the description. Lona Steel Rose wants to be a pro wrestler, but she's living under the shadow of her mother, the best to ever do it. Everything changes when a wrestling-obsessed necromancer asks her to join the grandest pro wrestling tournament of all time, which is also the most dangerous. It's The Wrestler meets Dragon Ball Z, and the tale where the competitors get more than they ever bargained for. Yeah, I'll read that. I'll read that happily. Yeah, I'm getting.
Like you've been waiting for the trade. I'm waiting for the deluxe.
Yeah,
so I think I might go digital first, but.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, because I always see Murder Falcon in a nice hardcover with its sort of glossy shine. Like, hey, this is good, folks. It's like I want that one.
That's the always problem with those things, isn't it? Like you wait for the trade, and then you go, "Is this gonna be it? This is gonna be a big one, though, right?"
I'm just looking at the picture now on my phone. Oh. Can you see that there?
With is that an actual? You know wrestling, so is that a power bomb? I have no idea.
That's not a power bomb. That's like a cross body block or a flying, splash off of the turnbuckle. But no, a power bomb. It's there's no point in me trying to mimic the move. It's silly.
Why not do it? If you do that, I'll do a people's elbow. That's the only thing I know.
I won't do a power bomb. I might end up knocking the camera over and the light. We don't need that.
It'd be funny.
But yeah, it would be funny. But yeah, I'm excited for this book, and I'm excited that it's finally collected to read as one full story. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Good. Really nice.
Love to talk to this guy again.
We'll get him on.
Yeah, we got to get him on. Dude, go for it.
Right, okay. So, I must admit, I do have a few here and there on this list that I haven't read. But
that's good.
The next one I know very little about, so not read it. Don't know much about it. It's by Jeff Lemire. So it's written by him. The art is by Jock, who
was on my list.
Did I steal another one?
No, it's okay. No, wow. That's good. That's good.
We're just getting the same stuff this month. That doesn't happen that often, does it?
I think we have similar tastes and things that we want to try. The
my
glasses is too much.
But it's Snow Angels Library Edition. So like Dark Horse do these. I mean, for those who can see us, they do these incredible library editions. Keep talking for a moment. So basically, for example, they did Lady Killer. So they collected the 2 miniseries of Lady Killer in one of these really nice, like they're not oversized, they're bigger than oversized.
It's their stuff, the way they collect it in those nice deluxe formats, it's like shelf porn. It's just so nice.
Completely, yeah. I mean, that's it compared for those who can see. Sorry for those who can't. You should have been watching us on Twitch. Just kidding. Love you, really. But yeah, there's like a good inch, and you know, a good inch really makes the difference. Yeah. So
David's showing a Valiant hardcover, which would be like a Marvel Deluxe Edition trim size, in comparison to the the Dark Horse Library editions.
Yes.
Like it's almost absolute, like
essentially.
Yeah, and the stuff they collect in those editions are usually, I would say, worth having as a story. Is this so? Snow Angels is going to be in that size.
The Snow Angels is going to be library edition size, yeah, and it's like a good price, and it's beautifully made. So the stock, the thickness of the paper is nice. You normally get the little ribbon to mark your thing. It's all even the little touches. The
cast, Jeff Lemire and Jock, like I want to know what you guys came up with. That's enough. I'm good. Like it's almost I'm sold just on who's in the movie, basically.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I'm not going to read the whole overview because I literally don't want to know that much about it either. And like you say, these are 2 incredibly talented creators, and as a combo, I just want to see what they're going to do. But like,
exactly,
one of the things in the blurb is like, you must never leave the trench. The trench provides. The trench is endless. You're like, there's a big old mystery going on here, and dude, you know I'm a sucker for a mystery. So, and I don't know how many issues. It's not volume 1 and 2. So I don't know how many issues that is, but it's 264 pages. Maybe it's 10, 12 issues.
10 issues? Yeah. Those are nice. That's like the Lady Killer.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. It's the 2 series in one book, and it's a nice thickness, nice girth. Get your mind
extra
out.
Inch, good girth.
Yeah. What? Nice bit of ribbon sticking out of... No, that doesn't. Put a ribbon on it. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know a huge amount about it. There's clearly mystery, great creators, beautifully produced book. Go get it. Like, how bad can it be? And it's Dark Horse, so
yeah. I think it's a safe blind buy.
Yeah,
for sure. It was on my list too.
Awesome.
Okay. Snow Angels, got to take it off my list now. That's why I got
take the next 2 off as well.
Okay. Okay, I think this one I'm going to steal from you.
Okay.
It's one of those books that I feel, even if you're not casual, but if you're more selective in what you want to put on your shelf. So, as an example, it would be like if you're a person who owns The Watchmen or Dark Knight Returns, like you pick specific books that are their own stories. I feel like this one belongs in that category of, if you're just going to own a one story of that character, you have to have Weapon X from Barry Windsor Smith.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I
didn't put it on my list, but I did hope you had it on yours, because like it was taking a space that I kind of, oh my god, it's just so good.
Yeah, it's as complex as you want it to be. So there's a lot there, and it's in the art. Yeah, there isn't that much to be said in this book.
The Cartoonist Kayfabe did a special thing on it where they went through every issue recently, and they said, I didn't notice before, but Wolverine doesn't speak. I think he kind of does a voiceover thing in the first chapter, and after that he doesn't speak apart from growls again. But it's basically, they did what no one should do, which was give an origin for Wolverine back in the days when there was nothing. It was all just a big mystery, which was great. I thought that was the best way to do it and the best way to keep it. But it's Barry Windsor Smith. Like, Barry Windsor Smith is just an absolute... He's a creative genius, and doesn't get enough credit for what he does. His art is stunning to look at. It's detailed. It's got a certain amount of nastiness to it sometimes. When it needs to be nasty and violent, it is. And Weapon X as a story is full of that. But he just gives great character as well. And even when there's minimal dialogue, he tells the story with that imagery so perfectly. But that's the thing. It's like it didn't really 100% give an origin. It's kind of the stuff we figured might have happened anyway, to a point. But there's a whole
kind of like
subtext
his Killing Joke. If I don't know if that's a fair comparison, Batman the Killing Joke.
Yeah.
Where it affects his story for the rest of his publishing life.
Yes, it does.
But did it happen? Is it its own story? It's one of those tales that the reason I bring that up is Barbara Gordon becomes Oracle because of what happens in the Killing Joke.
Yeah.
But the origin of the Joker that comes from the Killing Joke, or even the last moment where people have argued, or I think even Alan Moore may have said, like, Batman kills him at the end.
Oh, Grant Morrison said it, but it really pissed Alan Moore off, apparently.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes, you're right. I think it was on the Kevin Smith podcast. Yeah, that's right. That's where I heard it. And I always looked at it differently after that, wondering. So, anyways, there's those stories like that always affect the mythology of the character forever.
Yeah.
Or you could ignore it. It's very strange.
Yeah, it's very trippy and ethereal, and how much of it... Yeah, you're right. And there's other stories that reference it, and immediately in the mainstream series, they referenced it, but there was still an element of that. How much of that is real? How much of it did happen? They were going to do other reveals, funnily enough. So, like, the person even behind it all, there were going to be later reveals about that and who the professor is talking to and all this kind of stuff, because there are mysteries within mysteries in it. And it is basically, it's a horror film. It's a horror story, you know?
Yeah.
And Logan is the monster, but he's also the victim. It's got this weird depth to it, while also not saying a lot in terms of that dialogue.
Yeah.
So, like, it's very cleverly put together. Barry Windsor Smith is just, he doesn't get enough praise for the stuff he can do.
It's a masterwork in the comics medium,
totally.
For sure.
Yeah, and
because it's
my favorite Wolverine story.
Oh, is it really? I didn't know that. Okay, so that says a lot, because you've read a lot. I want to get into some Wolverine. I know that his main series in the 80s was a little, people say, hit or miss, but it looks like fun. It looks like something fun. I want to give it a shot. I have them in Epics.
You do? Oh, cool. Yeah. Funnily enough, I do want to do this. I'm going to do a big X-Men read through, and I want to reread that stuff, but in order in terms of where it's supposed to kind of sit. Because, I love that.
Of course, shit. Yeah. It's like treasure hunting for you, it feels like.
Yeah, it is. And there are funny, some weird little one-shots and stuff as well, like the Walter Simonson one-shot that's got Mike Mignola art and all that, the Jungle Adventure and all this kind of... There's random Wolverine stories. So if you've got the Wolverine Volume 1 omnibus, I think it is, this story is already collected. But they've released a few versions of Wolverine Weapon X in the last few years. But there's clearly demand for it because they're releasing another. So if you've missed it, here's your chance to change it.
It's a Marvel evergreen.
Yeah.
And when it gets re-released, it'll be in some new format, including some different type of touches, finish, whatever, trim, however they come out with it. Give it a shot. It's worth having on your shelf for sure. It's a must-have, I think.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. Cool.
Okay.
Excellent choice. I'm so glad you picked that. Okay, so my number 4. I'm not going to be able to say much about it. I don't even know if it's good. I mean,
how many have we done so far?
We've done 3 apiece.
3 apiece?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take a commercial break. Let's give the folks an update of what we got going on at the Omniverse before we forget to.
Let's do it.
Because we got some cool things going on. It's a lot of things pertaining to the UK, so you take it away.
Oh, wow.
Let the folks know what's going down.
So for people who are going to Comic-Cons this year in merry old England, as it gets referred to, at the other side of the Atlantic, the Omniverse Comics Guide are going to be making appearances at the UK CGF Comic-Con at Bristol. We're going to London. We're going to Brighton. We're going to Southampton. I thought we were. Was it Portsmouth? I think we're planning to go to Portsmouth. So we'll update on that as time moves on. The more information we get, we'll add it onto all the socials. We'll let you know we're going to be there. So if you do want to meet and have a chat and talk about what reading orders you want to do or what we want to talk about in the podcast, feel free to come and speak.
Do live podcasts there, Dave.
Live podcast.
Yeah, get people to tell you what they collect.
We could do. We'll see.
Yeah,
but we'll discuss that. So make sure you check out the Omniverse Comics Guide and at the website, which is omniversecomics.guide, for all the latest stuff, including, like we said this earlier on, all those various crossovers. You can go and listen to the podcast episodes, or you can find the links to the video versions. You can listen to that latest interview with Lou Collar that we mentioned earlier. Our Patreon is also back up, so if you want to support the Omniverse, feel free. We'll be expanding that probably later on, but for now, any support you give us is massively appreciated. So feel free to head over. There'll be bonus features on there that aren't on the website, especially when it comes to reading orders. We'll be covering collector's editions, stuff like that, and also just make sure you hit follow on here. Instead of just listening to us blather on. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe, do all the stuff. Make sure you can follow us on whatever social media you like, and feel free to give us a shout if you want to hit us up and talk comics with us.
Rate and review the podcast on Spotify, Apple, if you like it, if you have a suggestion, if you don't like it. All of it helps us make better stuff and helps us get out there.
It does.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Dave, good job.
Thank you.
So number 4?
My number 4, back on the old upcoming releases for March. It's X-O Manowar by Dennis Hopeless, Deluxe Edition. Now, I mean, I've not read a huge amount of Dennis Hopeless.
Is that coming out in March?
Apparently, it keeps changing.
Because I looked up Valiant releases, and it doesn't look like they're releasing anything. I hope I don't know what I'm talking about. But there's been when that one came up, it said that no release date for it. So is it coming out in March?
It's down to come out for March. I am a little thrown as to where we are with it. It's currently saying March the 7th. But yeah, apparently March the 7th. But it's like when you go on the US Amazon, you can't pre-order it yet. So
no, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not sure what's happening. But it's still down to be released on March the 7th.
So you'd have to go to a local comic book shop then, or a bookstore?
I don't know. I don't know if it's based on pre-orders, but if you're a fan of Valiant and you want to support the Valiant Entertainment and get them to produce more of this stuff, because I'm desperately wanting them to re-release the old deluxe editions. Say old, I mean like the kind of the 20
reprint,
like 2012 the 2012
era
onwards.
Yeah.
Because they just haven't, and they're incredible stories. But this book isn't a reprint. This is a recent series that was written by Dennis Hopeless. It's, I don't know how many issues it is. I think it's about 10.
Is that all? No, it's got to be.
Well,
really?
It's 9, but then they've got some other one shots in there as well. So it kind of ends up being about 12. So it's 304 pages, which is about standard for their deluxe editions. But they produce again, they're just so well produced. They're really nice books. And I love X-O Manowar. So it's way ahead of what I've read yet, because I'm kind of doing a reread from what I can get hold of, which is predominantly digital, because I can't get them. I managed to get a few volumes. I showed one earlier, didn't I? But, there are some, but it's hard to get hold of.
Great series. I'm
desperate to get on that. I'm so far away. But they need to re-release them. So
I really hope they do, because it's some of the... I don't like recommending it all the time if people can't get their hands on it.
Yeah.
If it's becoming difficult. That just seems like a dick move. But I promise you will not be disappointed with a Valiant comic.
No.
There is something there that you will like if you like good stories. Yeah. I'll just say that.
That's kind of it. Because I think a lot of the time there is that thing of if you want to, they sold it this way themselves, didn't they? If you want Conan mixed with Iron Man, That's kind of Exo Manowar, but it doesn't do it justice because it isn't that. There's way more to it than that.
Yeah.
And it feels a lot more grown up than a
Yes.
Conan series or an Iron Man series without it seeming like needlessly gritty. It's just very clever. And it's like, if this was to happen, what would actually happen in the real world? And that's how it feels.
Yeah, and it's like it's such a pastiche, as they say, of like other things that exist.
Yeah.
So, but like you said, Exo is like Conan with Iron Man, but it's almost like if Iron Man's armor was the Green Lantern ring.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You could pick it apart that way to the point where you're going, so it's not really that, it's its own thing, isn't it? Like, yes,
it's its own thing. Exactly. That's the part that's like, once you take all the comparisons, like, no, there's only Exo Manowar.
Yeah.
That's it.
Nothing hits like that. That's why I loved it so much. I think I wasn't really sure what to expect, but I mean, with the series in question, hopefully it'll be released. But I don't know where the character is by the time that series hits. So, and the way that Valiant have progressed their characters, they have progressed their characters. That's one of the other great things about it. They're not putting them in amber and trying to keep them like they were in the 1970s. I'm looking at you, Marvel. But yeah, it feels like it's always moving forward, and you're rewarded for sticking with these characters as well. So, again, I don't know how good it is. I don't 100% know it's coming out. But if they base these things on pre-orders and you love Valiant and want to support Valiant and also want to try something new, get in there, pre-order these books, and let them know there is an audience for these, if they let you.
I can't, like, this is basically how I feel about Valiant. If a person said to me, I really like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and I want to start reading comics, what should I read? I would say Valiant.
Mm-hmm.
Just read Valiant comics.
Yeah.
And you'll be fine, and all the superhero itch that you might have to scratch, it will be satisfied.
Yeah.
And if you like the espionage or the time travel or the, more of the Conan the Barbarian type of story, it's got something in there for every sort of. It's such a good lineup. Such a good lineup of characters.
They tend to tell stories when there's a story to tell and finish it, and then pick it up later when there's another story to tell. So it's not just like, we got to get someone else to fill this title so that we can keep it going and hit that issue 600 mark. Like, there's none of that. It's, you get the story because there's a story to be told. Yeah. So, but hey.
Stuff that I wouldn't think I would like Bloodshot, not a character I thought I had any interest in.
Same.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's shameless in what it knows really what it is as well with Bloodshot. It's just shameless action, but with another, again, that little mystery vibe that just makes you go, I've got to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
So, and then when Jeff Lemire, you get really good creators on these books as well. Robert Venditti, Jeff Lemire, Matt Kint, Joshua Dysart. Like, I listened to an interview with Joshua Dysart and just went, why am I not reading Harbinger? I'm an idiot. And then read it just going, this is just so good. But it's like it's kind of like where you go, like, if the X-Men were really a thing in real life, would it be some benevolent benefactor that just gives them, like, set up home here, you outcasts, in a massive mansion?
It's got that, it's like Doom Patrol outcast vibe of it.
Yeah.
It's got the X-Men, young team vibe of it, but then it becomes, it's just like, no. It's got the Runaways vibe to it.
It's almost got that corporate Tony Stark vibe to it.
Exactly.
It's a real mix of stuff, and it's just intense, when it needs to be, but also like wildly entertaining. These are great books, and Valiant, they're well worth your time. So hopefully this book is going to come out in March.
Great call. I hope you're right. I hope you're right, because I'm not sure where they're at in the publishing scheme of things right now.
I don't know,
but I really, really hope that I get some news from them, because it's a great line of comics. It really is. I'm not saying that to be like the cool kid. Like, I know something. No,
don't worry. Great. You're not.
All right, I know. I am doing a comic books podcast. I get it.
Yeah, don't take that crap from me.
Is this my number 4?
This is your number 4, dude.
Okay. I'm going to go with Guardians of the Galaxy by Donny Cates.
I didn't know.
It was released in a Marvel. I've read these in the trades, and it follows Infinity Wars. Like, takes place after whatever happens in Infinity Wars, which I know is not something people really recommend or is necessary reading. Some nice art in it. It's a sufficient story. Like, if you want to read modern Marvel, it'll, take you on the ride that you need to go on. But the follow-up to it, Donny Cates has a way of, like, I don't know. I find myself oftentimes, I'm not an apologist, because I think he's written a lot of books that are big hits.
Yeah, he has.
But I do find myself enjoying stuff that he's on, even if it's just for a small moment. Silver Surfer Black, I think he did.
Oh yeah.
I like his little takes on stuff. So this was a nice 12-issue run. Picks up the pieces of the Infinity Wars if you want to know where it is in modern Marvel history.
So by Infinity Wars, that's the more recent Infinity Wars.
Yes.
Series from like Jerry Duggan or something. I can't remember.
Jerry Duggan. Yeah. So I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I don't remember it completely. I know that it had something to do with spoilers. What happens post Thanos' death?
Right.
It's in the description, so I'm not really giving anything away. But that's where we're at with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think it's with him and Jeff Shaw. I don't want to misquote that, but they're a good team. They've done a couple
Country
and crossover.
Oh, they did crossover.
Yeah, I think that's the team on this as well. So this is the soft cover, I think, that's being released. I wanted the hardcover. I never got around to getting it, but I do recommend it to people reading modern Marvel. They want to read a good Guardian story that's, that feels like it might have some sort of familiarity to the movie universe, perhaps. Like, you'll kind of know the characters in your own way. I don't know if that makes sense.
I think so. It's kind of a mix, isn't it, between the film-based characters and then some of the other big cosmic characters. From the artwork I've seen, I've not read it.
Yeah,
I think Nova's in it and stuff, isn't he?
Yeah. So there's going to be some parts where you won't necessarily, if you're new to the books, you won't necessarily know exactly who all of the characters are, but it won't be in a way where you'll be lost out of the story. I don't think.
It's a gateway drug.
Somewhat, yeah. Especially after what was, I don't know if it was an event or its own miniseries. I'm not sure how it was treated, the Infinity Wars, because it was a cosmic. Read it. Yeah. But I think that's most modern comics. They're kind of inconsequential now. They don't have that same.
The mainstream ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, everything's being reset and.
Yeah, it did kind of do that.
Yeah.
It didn't do it for me,
But I do like Donny Cates. I like his. I like the stuff I get around to reading of his. So
I thought this would be on that one. Funnily enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's and again, it's 12 issues where you're gonna get their story, and if you want to continue on to the next writer, who I think was Al Ewing, you can.
Oh, okay.
But this is his 12 issues of telling a Guardian story.
Oh, cool.
It's good. I did enjoy it.
Nice.
So yeah, shout out Donny Cates. I'm gonna look up who the artist was on it.
That little-known Donny Cates guy. If you. Okay, so my last choice is the last volume. Again, like previously, we've kind of go for first volumes, don't we? And tend not to do like volume middle of a series. But occasionally, I like chucking in a final volume. I think even though at this point, if you haven't got the other volumes, you might struggle to get them. Though I think Marvel are re-releasing, or they've announced they're re-releasing the Aliens Original Years Omnis because they've sold so well. But Volume 4 is due out, and it ends the Dark Horse era Aliens stuff, basically. Again, they don't credit Dark Horse on it, but it's when they say the original years, they mean the Dark Horse years. Shout out to Dark Horse. So yeah,
hi Dark Horse.
Hi Dark Horse. I don't know what the I don't know. Oh, sorry. Open, you little swine. It's over 1,000 pages, and it's a real mix in this one as well because there's this is the more modern stuff. So it looks like it's like 2011 books up to, God, what's that, 2019, which was Aliens Resistance, Aliens Rescue. There is work in here by Joshua Williamson's in it, Liam Sharp, James Stokoe's miniseries in here, Gabriel Hardman, Patrick Reynolds. There's some really interesting stuff in here, and I think Dead Orbit and things like that tended to be just a one-off story. So I think at this point, I think like where it was kind of an ongoing universe of characters or universe stories that kind of maybe sometimes jumped around the timeline. I'm not 100% because I'm due to read it but haven't read it yet. This kind of like, this is towards the end where they were just dropping in new stories here and there and getting some big name creators in to tell some tales of like feature the Xenomorphs. But yeah, this is it. This wraps up the Dark Horse years. I think they are due to release a Predator Volume 2, and that should wrap up the Dark Horse Predator stuff. That'll be Marvel's Predator, the original years Omnibus Volume 2. And then I think they're going to do an Aliens versus Predator, either single omnibus or 2-volume omnibus set. And that would be everything from Dark Horse. But volume 2 of this omnibus collection is gone. Good luck getting it. So I think it's hit a point where they've gone, we need to just re-release this stuff. Let's just do it again, even though we've only just released them. So it's popular.
I didn't know there was such an audience for these comics.
But
are they good? Are they good comics?
Well, I don't know. So I mean, like, I'm drawn to it because it's Dark Horse, and I know that a lot of their licensed stuff tended to do incredibly well.
Yeah,
I think like before Marvel managed to win back Star Wars, when Disney bought out Fox, that Dark Horse were doing a Star Wars series at that point that was just wildly acclaimed. Like everyone was raving about it, and then it just stopped, and then it all went to Marvel, and they restarted. So that was considered. Don't use the word canon. That was like considered actual continuity. Dark Horse used to check in with George Lucas and make sure he was happy with what they were doing and that it fitted around the films and everything. It was really thought out. They used to do. I remember opening up some of the comics and looking inside and just like, I want to know what these are like. These Star Wars comics, and I would just flick through and there's like the whole timeline there to show you how it all fits together. They really figured it all out. And in theory, it's kind of. I don't think it's gone. You can pick whatever you like. So if you prefer the Dark Horse stuff, read that. If you want to read both the Dark Horse and Marvel stuff, yay, go for your life. With this, I know there's new Aliens stuff coming out from Marvel and new Predator stuff, but these are the comics I think I would rather put my time into, because for the most part, I'm rarely disappointed with anything Dark Horse do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's funny how you come around to these realizations as you collect and start to dip your toe in. It's like, oh, these places become more like, this sounds pretentious, but like boutique. Like, we're not going to print everything. We're going to make sure it's good if we put our imprint on it. Like,
yeah.
So it becomes a trusted brand.
Yes, exactly.
A lot of times, right? Where I can't think of many Dark Horse series that exist for a long period of time that isn't somebody's favorite or guilty pleasure that they'll never part with.
Yeah,
right? There's like, people love Hellboy.
They do.
It's for some, it's like that's the end all be all for them.
And it's
the
still
art,
going.
The story. Yeah,
but in that way, again, that's like, it's time to release a Hellboy thing, or let's do a spin-off, and it's a contained thing, and it's always so it's about the quality. There's got to be the story there, and that's what they tend to do, and that's what they did with Aliens. And with Predator, there was a point with Predator where they stopped producing stories for quite a few years. But with Aliens, they tended to be that audience, but they would still keep it relatively contained the whole way through. Tell a story, end the story. So this is the fourth and final volume of Aliens, the original years. It's from Marvel, but it was originally from Dark Horse, so it looks nuts. The artwork on this stuff in this volume particularly is pretty. So yeah, go for your life. Cool. Experience some genuine terror from H.R. Geiger's brain, essentially, 'cause that's what it was, wasn't it? He designed the aliens.
Yeah, it's it's something I got into later in life, but now I every now and then I'm like, Aliens is a good scare. Like that's good science fiction horror.
That is one of my favorite kind of horror films.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Can I cheat this week?
Cheat?
Or this month? Yes. I know you're a stickler for the rules, Dave, but this is a new release in March. It's a new release in March, but it's not collected. It's going to be a single issue.
Oh. I'm intrigued.
So we usually do, our collected and compendiums and things like that, but he's a local guy, local creator.
Yeah.
Fred Kennedy. He's been on the Cave of Solitude a couple times. Those that locally are from Toronto, you know who I'm talking about. But he's releasing his first Image book. He's published a number of comics, but this is going to be from Image. It's going to be called Dead Romans, and he's collaborating with Nick Marinkovich.
Okay.
And I know how excited he is about the product or about the story, I should say, because he really had this artist in mind to do the story. Like it was sort of if he had to pick who would do this, anybody, I think this was the guy he wanted. And it all kind of worked out for them this collaboration to both be their something they wanted to collaborate on. Like it was like a perfect casting, perfect marriage.
Okay.
So I'll just give the quick synopsis of it for the first issue, or not the first issue, but the series. In Dead Romans, lush, beautiful illustrations bring to life a beautiful tale of love and war from the birth of the Roman Empire. Arminius wants to make a queen of the woman he loves, Honoria. I hope I'm saying that right. A fellow slave. Now 50,000 Romans will die to give her a throne she never asked for or wanted. And proceed with the story. I don't know where that goes, but I'm excited. And I know that Fred is a big fan of this era of history. He wrote another book called Teuton.
Right.
Which is kind of from that sort of era of storytelling. So I'm excited to read it. And, check out Image Comics, Fred Kennedy, Nick Marinkovich, Dead Romans.
Presumably it'll come up again when we do the collector's edition episode later on, because they'll collect it, no doubt, right?
Yeah, for sure. So he's really excited about it. It's contagious when you hear a creator. I've heard him on some other podcasts. Elegant Weapon, another local podcast from Toronto, hosted by J.M. Clark. They had a little sit down, and we're hoping to get him here on our show. So little preview to that.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, Dead Romans seems like a really exciting book. So be on the lookout for it. I think it's the end of March it comes out.
Okay.
So there you go. Brand new series that I think it's a mini series that it'll be a concise sort of story. You won't be like, how long am I going to be collecting this for? You're going to get a full story in it.
Nice. I guess that is the Image way for the most part as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
The odd rare exception. Did you have any additional ones you wanted to mention before we depart?
Yeah, I have a couple actually. One of them is one that you've been bringing up for a while. The last couple of episodes, you've brought up this storyline. I think it was we talked about it last week in Guilty Pleasures, and I think you brought it up again when we did our villains, bring on the bad guys.
Yeah.
And it's Acts of Vengeance. They're doing an epic collection, I think,
of the
Acts of Vengeance,
the
Avengers era.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're gonna. So that was on my list of a possible addition to the shelf.
Nice.
But I think I have a lot of that stuff. What would be collected in that epic would probably be in the John Byrne Avengers.
It is.
Omnibus.
Yeah, rub that one in.
Yeah,
because I desperately want that. Get.
I don't mean to. But it was going to be on my list, Acts of Vengeance, as well as another epic collection, Amazing Spider-Man, The Goblin Lives, which I think kicks off the... No, that wouldn't be correct. But this would be...
The Romita era?
It's the Romita era, but it's not where it begins. I was about to say that, but that's not where it starts. But this is, I think, the... when is the issue when Mary Jane comes into the picture? Is it just after
issue 46-ish? It was kind of mid 40, I think. I can't remember. I feel like I should.
Yeah, don't want to misquote it, but I know that this is one of those really key eras of Spider-Man where you read these issues and it might be your first time of a character being introduced.
It'll always. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
I'm just going to say, I think it's after they did the storyline where he finds out that Peter's Spider-Man, then he kind of loses his memory.
Mm-hmm.
And then he inevitably comes back because he was the recurring villain.
Of course.
I think it's... I'd have to check for sure, but I think it might be that era.
I think that's when it... Yes, you're right. So, it's a key era for Spider-Man. If you are collecting the Epic Collections and you missed this one, be on the lookout for it. It's a reprint, but it would be a pretty satisfying collection to have on a shelf. Stan Lee, John Romita, Spider-Man. Like, that's Spider-Man.
It's there. They were the years that sowed the seeds of Spider-Man, basically, weren't they?
Really, they really did. Yeah. It's one of those, I think...
Steve Ditko.
It's one of those visual... I think the way Spider-Man is drawn in that, it's immediately got a visual library for us.
Yes. Well, that was the image. That kind of imagery was the stuff that ended up on transfers and lunchboxes and stuff in the... even through to the 80s and now.
Yeah.
You know, I think I had Spider-Man trainers. What do you call them in Canada?
Trainers?
What do you call trainers in Canada? Is it like sneakers?
Sneakers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had like high top trainers.
When you said trainers, I'm like, is that what you guys call like diapers? Wasn't sure what trainers meant.
Only recently started wearing these nappies, and because I'm getting old. Nappies. I was brushing my fringe aside, wearing my nappies. But basically, John Romita's artwork kind of really defined the look after Steve Ditko, and almost redefined the look to a degree.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
And one more was Mark Waid and Dan Mora's World's Finest, Volume 1 was collected. I don't know anything about it, but again, the writer, artist, I want to see what they come up with, and I don't think it's taking place in modern DC timeline. I know it'll affect it from what I read in the description, but I don't know.
I read issue 1. I just wasn't sure what was going on.
Okay.
So I might pick it up again if that's what it's supposed to be about. I wasn't sure where it sat.
I want to read a Mark Waid Superman run. I know how much he loves the character, and I don't know if it's good that he hasn't gotten his chance to sink his teeth as much as he might like because he loves the character so much, or it's the one thing that we're all missing. But I wonder if the right time for him to write it has passed. I don't know. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I would have liked to see him write it in 2006 or post Infinite Crisis, but Kurt Busiek did. And I didn't realize it at the time who he was in relation to. Yeah. I just bought the comics. Okay. I'd like to read those again, knowing that Kurt Busiek wrote them and knowing how I sort of have a...
They need to collect them.
Yeah. They've been, but like not in a nice... Not properly, no. Yeah. You're right.
They need to do it properly.
For sure. How about you? What did you have?
I had a few others on the list that were kind of my backups. Aftershock are releasing Volume 2 of Bunny Mask. I got the free Comic Book Day issue of Bunny Mask, kind of dismissing it, but knowing there was a lot of hype. It's weird, and I absolutely loved it. And it's really rare for me to love a free Comic Book Day comics. It's not, it's normally like a bit of a throwaway 11-page story. I don't know what's going on, but absolutely loved it. And I they're releasing a deluxe later in the year, so I think it'll be volumes 1 and 2 in that. But if you like your trades, volume 2 is on its way out. So that's from Aftershock, Bunny Mask. Volume 2, the Hollow Inside. Boom have got Many Deaths of Layla Starr Deluxe Edition, which is by Ron V. Obviously, big name writer at the minute. So I don't know a lot about it. I don't know that I'm that interested. I'm not a huge fan of his, but I know a lot of people are. So that may be of interest. Dark Horse are releasing British Paranormal Society, which is a Hellboy spin-off. Well, it's actually a Witchfinder spin-off, and Witchfinder is brilliant. So, like, even just potentially the hint of more Witchfinder is really exciting for me. The Lonesome Hunters, which we mentioned in the previous episode, I think, has been pushed back to this month. So if you thought you'd missed it, you haven't. It's coming out. It's by Tyler Crook. It is one fine looking book. Like it is, and it's great. I can't recommend it highly enough. But yeah, those two were from Dark Horse. DC are releasing Blue Beetle, Jamie Reyes, Volume 2, which will wrap up that collection. They introduced that character. They're also re-releasing Power Girl, Power Trip, which is partly by Jeff Johns, I think. Jimmy Palmiotti writes some stuff in there. I think Amanda Connor does a certain amount of it as well. It's all very suggestive, and they play to the whole ridiculously suggestive outfit that she wears. It's very tongue-in-cheek. And I haven't read it yet, but I'm desperate to, because it just looks like a stupid amount of fun that's probably going to upset some people. Screw you. Image will be released. I don't mean it. Yeah, I do. Image have got two books that I'm interested in. One is Seven Sons by Jay Lee. I don't know if he's writing it, but I love Jay Lee's art. It's kind of very disturbing looking some of the time. But I don't know much about the story. And I kind of don't want to, so I'm kind of just going to give it a try and see what happens. And Kaya, I think it's Kaya rather than Kaya, which is Volume 1, trade paperback, and it's written and drawn by Wes Craig, who is known for... I just had a total name block on the series. Deadly Class. He drew Deadly Class, yeah. So it's his first big series following Deadly Class. Obviously, Rick Remender has done well out of that, but Wes Craig doesn't get enough credit. The art on Deadly Class it's perfect. Like it hits the tone perfectly. This is I don't 100% know what it's about, and I don't want to. I kind of want to go in blind because I love Wes Craig stuff so much. But it's got a female lead. I don't know if there's like supernatural stuff in it. The art just looks nice and quirky. And Wes Craig did some of the Guardians of the Galaxy run that Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning wrote back in the day.
That's right. So, right.
His art is nice, man. It's good stuff. So I want to see what this comes out like, basically. But I don't really want to know. I want to just go in and just be entertained.
Right. That's read
stuff.
Yeah, that's sometimes the most fun because you're going in completely unjaded.
Yeah.
Right. It was kind of like reading Kali.
Yes.
What is this? I don't know.
Where's it going? Surprise me. Do something.
Yeah.
Oh God, you just did. Bam. Ah. Oh man, this is so cool. I want more of that, please. That's what I want. I think like the predictability of the mainstream sometimes can get a bit much. Like sometimes it's great. Sometimes you want the predictability of the mainstream comics. Sometimes you want something that's going to catch you off guard and get you excited, or make you laugh, or just wow you in some way.
You don't want to realize that you're almost finished.
Yeah, and you want more.
Yeah. It's like, man, this. Why did they? There's so much story you could like.
Why is this finite? I want more.
Yeah.
Always leave them wanting more.
That's when.
I know I do.
You come for the comics and you stay for the bollocks. That should be our motto.
We need to use that line. Thank you. It was Omega Bread, I think it was, who gave us that line. I need to drop that in as a proper review because it is just.
Who said that again?
Omega Bread, I think, who follows us on various channels, mostly Instagram. I think occasionally drops in here.
Shout out to him.
Yeah,
that might go on the back of a T-shirt.
We'll do it. We'll do that at cons.
That's a good first sticker.
Get it on a mug.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. Dave, always a ton of fun. Everybody listening, everybody watching, press the subscribe button. Follow us on your different social medias, whatever it might be. Definitely rate and review the podcasts.
Yes.
And the videos on YouTube. Tell us if we are full of bollocks. or if you like the show.
Yeah.
Right?
Do it. Yeah. Hang
out with us. Let us know what's going on. Engage. We'll do our best to engage back.
We will.
Appreciate it all. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Misha. You're the best. Signing off, everybody. We'll be back soon.
Thanks for watching and or listening.
That's right.